You lie awake again, watching the ceiling as if it were the slow turn of a metronome, each tick a little louder than the last. The day behind you is a series of half-finished tasks and small defeats. The night ahead promises only another round of counting minutes, replaying conversations, and an anxious, restless body. For millions of adults between 35 and 70, this is not a rare episode. It is a nightly occupation. It is familiar, exhausting, and profoundly humiliating, the sense that your own body has betrayed you. This is where our conversation begins, not with a promise of miracle cures or quick-fix pills, but with a single, precise question. What if the reason you cannot sleep is not merely a racing mind or a bad mattress, but a silent, correctable imbalance inside your body? What if the relentless insomnia many accept as an inevitable part of aging is, in many cases, a symptom of a shortage so simple that restoring it lets the nervous system return to its natural rhythm? Let me be direct. Sleeplessness is a symptom. It has causes that are medical, biological, and environmental. It is also deeply personal. As a physician who has spent years studying the physiology of sleep and treating adults whose lives are eroded by chronic wakefulness, I have watched the same arc repeat in clinic after clinic. Patients arrive believing their insomnia stems from stress, grief, or a failure of will. They are handed sleep hygiene advice, urged to exercise, or prescribed sedatives, often temporary fixes that do not address the underlying physiology. Nights become a battleground. Mornings become an endurance test. Health deteriorates in small, accumulating increments. Memory blunts, mood frays, metabolic markers shift, cardiovascular risk elevates. The cost is not only fatigue, it is diminished life. But there is another, less recognized narrative, one rooted in clinical observation and rising scientific evidence, that deserves our attention. Over the past decade, researchers and clinicians have mapped the fine machinery that shifts the brain from wakefulness into sleep. This transition depends on a balance of chemicals and signals. Wake-promoting forces must ebb while restorative systems take hold. Certain vitamins and micronutrients are not merely supporting actors in this play. Some act as the stagehands who position the lights and pull the ropes. When one of them is insufficient, the scene cannot change. Imagine the sleep mechanism as a well-regulated orchestra. Neurotransmitters such as GABA provide the soft, steady bass that calms neuronal firing. Hormones like melatonin set the tempo for night. Cortisol and other stress mediators are the percussion, capable of drowning the softer sounds if left unchecked. A deficit in a single essential nutrient can make the bass too weak and the percussion too loud. The result is a brain that remains, stubbornly, in partial wakefulness. Eyes closed, body still, and yet the inner circuitry refuses to cease its daytime work. This is not speculative reassurance. It is clinical reality observed in those who have had their biochemical profiles examined and adjusted. It is also why many of the standard remedies fail. They try to muffle the symptoms rather than restore the physiological balance that permits true sleep. Sleeping pills, for example, can induce artificial sleep architecture without correcting the upstream deficit that triggered the disturbance. Over months and years, this may blunt the brain's natural ability to regulate sleep on its own. My purpose in this video is not to promise instant redemption without context. It is to walk you through the science, clearly, precisely, and without jargon, so you understand why a targeted intervention can produce rapid, reliable changes for many people. I will explain the physiological mechanism in straightforward terms, present the evidence that links this nutrient to sleep regulation, and describe how clinicians assess and correct the deficiency safely. You will learn what symptoms should prompt testing, how to interpret practical signs in your daily life, and what to discuss with your physician. Before we move deeper, take a moment and check in with yourself. How often do you wake during the night? Do you lie awake for hours before sleep finally arrives? Is the waking accompanied by a racing heart, a stomach that feels unsettled, or a muscle tension that refuses to melt? These are small clues, clinical breadcrumbs. Keep them in mind as we proceed. They help guide the diagnostic pathway. For decades, insomnia was viewed primarily as a psychological condition, a problem of anxiety, depression, or poor habits. The typical advice was behavioral. Keep a sleep schedule, dim the lights, stop using screens, drink warm milk. These habits help some, yes, but for many, they barely scratch the surface. What modern research now reveals is that the roots of insomnia are far more biological than we once believed. It's not that your thoughts alone keep you awake. It's that your body's chemistry no longer supports the natural shift into sleep. Let's unpack that. Your brain, in its essence, runs on electrical and chemical rhythms. During the day, excitatory neurotransmitters, chemicals like glutamate and norepinephrine, keep you alert, responsive, and focused. As night approaches, those systems are supposed to quiet down while inhibitory ones, particularly GABA and serotonin, take over. These calming agents lower brain activity, reduce heart rate, and relax your muscles, preparing you for rest. But this delicate process requires certain nutrients as cofactors. Think of them as the keyholes that allow the neurotransmitters to fit perfectly and do their job. Without them, even if your brain tries to produce calming signals, the messages can't be delivered properly. The orchestra I mentioned earlier loses its harmony. The violins keep playing long after the conductor has left. Now, why does this imbalance become so common after 35? It's not just stress or lifestyle. The truth is that your body's efficiency in absorbing and converting nutrients declines naturally with age. The stomach produces less acid, the intestines lose some of their absorptive lining, and even the liver's ability to store certain vitamins weakens. On top of that, most people take medications, antacids, blood pressure pills, antidepressants, that interfere with nutrient absorption. And then there's stress, the great thief. Chronic stress consumes vitamins at a faster rate, leaving your body depleted, even if you're eating well. So what happens next? Cortisol, the stress hormone, remains elevated long after sunset. Instead of falling as it should, it competes directly with melatonin, the hormone of rest. The result? A nervous system stuck in alert mode. Your body may be exhausted, but your brain refuses to surrender. This is why so many adults describe the same haunting pattern. I feel tired but wired. It is at this intersection, where biology meets exhaustion, that a crucial discovery was made. Recent neurological studies have uncovered that a specific vitamin acts as a regulator of this entire sleep-switching process. Without it, your nervous system struggles to shut down. With it, the process can resume, sometimes within seconds. This is the vitamin we'll explore deeply today. It's not melatonin, not magnesium, and not a sleeping pill. It is something more fundamental, something that governs how your neurons fire, how your muscles relax, and how your brain finds peace. Understanding this small molecule will change the way you think about sleep forever. But before we reveal it, I want you to understand how doctors came to this discovery, because that story in itself shows why it's far more than a marketing claim. It is a medical evolution. In 2023, researchers from Stanford University and the University of Tokyo published a striking paper in the Journal of Neurochemical Research. They were investigating why some patients with chronic insomnia showed abnormal electrical activity in the brain even after taking sedatives. These individuals could fall asleep artificially, but their brainwaves never fully entered the deep, restorative stages of sleep. The researchers began to suspect a missing biochemical link, something that wasn't being addressed by medications. Their investigation led them to an overlooked but vital vitamin that influences how nerve cells communicate. This nutrient is essential for converting the chemical messengers in your brain from a day mode to a night mode. When it's abundant, neurons slow down naturally. When it's missing, they keep firing as if the sun never set. The findings were so compelling that follow-up studies began almost immediately. In one clinical trial involving adults between 40 and 70, Participants who received supplementation with this vitamin showed a remarkable improvement in sleep quality within just 10 days. Some reported feeling calmer within minutes of taking it. Others noticed that their racing thoughts, which used to spiral for hours before sleep, simply quieted down. The neurologists conducting the research described a fascinating mechanism. When the vitamin reached the brain, it activated an enzyme responsible for producing GABA, the neurotransmitter of calm. Within seconds, electrical patterns in the participants' brains began to shift from high-frequency alertness waves to slow, synchronized rhythms characteristic of early sleep. Dr. Kenji Nakamura, one of the study's co-authors, put it simply, "This nutrient appears to act as a biological switch. It restores the brain's ability to transition from wakefulness to rest. The effect is not sedation, it's normalization." Think about that distinction for a moment. Sedation is what sleeping pills do. They suppress your brain's activity, forcing it into an artificial sleep. Normalization is what your body does when it's healthy. It remembers how to rest on its own. That's the power of this vitamin. You may be wondering, which vitamin is this? We'll arrive there shortly, but I want to highlight why its impact is so fast. Because this molecule is water-soluble and readily absorbed, it crosses the blood-brain barrier in seconds. Once there, it triggers a cascade of calming responses, lowering cortisol, improving oxygen flow, and restoring neurotransmitter balance. This is why many people describe an almost immediate sense of tranquility, as though their body finally exhaled after years of holding its breath. Before we continue into the deeper biological explanation of how this process works, I want to pause briefly to ask something of you. If this information has already helped you understand your own body a little better, or if you know someone who struggles every night with insomnia, consider subscribing to this channel. Here, we don't chase trends, we explore medical truth in language everyone can understand. Your support allows more people to discover solutions that can genuinely change their health, safely and naturally. To understand how this vitamin works, we have to enter the brain, into a realm of microscopic circuits that decide whether you stay awake or drift into sleep. Imagine for a moment that your brain is a city. During the day, traffic races through the avenues. Lights burn in every window. Engines roar. Phones ring. As night falls, a healthy brain slowly dims that city. Traffic slows. Lights turn off one by one, and silence returns. But when this essential vitamin is missing, it's as if the city has forgotten where the switch is. The lights stay on. The engines keep humming. Even in darkness, your inner city never sleeps. This vitamin plays a crucial role in the production and regulation of GABA, the brain's chief inhibitory neurotransmitter. GABA is the molecule that tells your neurons to calm down. It's the brake pedal of the nervous system. Without enough GABA activity, your thoughts keep looping, your muscles remain tense, and your heart rate refuses to settle. The vitamin acts as a biochemical catalyst, helping convert excitatory molecules like glutamate into GABA. It's a chemical transformation, as elegant as it is essential. Here's the sequence. As daylight fades, your pineal gland begins to release melatonin, signaling that it's time for rest. But melatonin alone can't make you sleep. It only tells the body that it's night. The actual process of slowing neural activity requires GABA to flood the brain's pathways, reducing arousal signals from regions like the amygdala, the emotional center, and the hypothalamus, the body's thermostat for alertness. For GABA to be produced efficiently, enzymes in the brain need this vitamin as a cofactor. When the vitamin is absent, the enzyme's activity falls sharply. That means less GABA, more wakefulness, and a restless body even when you crave silence. This is why some people feel physically exhausted but mentally wide awake. Their brains are chemically stuck in day mode. The nervous system doesn't have enough resources to flip the internal switch to rest. That's where this vitamin intervenes. It fuels the exact reaction that restores GABA balance, telling the brain, it's safe now, you can rest. Once this biochemical cascade begins, something extraordinary happens. Within seconds, the parasympathetic nervous system, the part responsible for relaxation, digestion, and recovery, activates. Breathing deepens. Muscles release. Heart rate drops slightly. The mind's chatter slows, like a spinning wheel finally coming to a stop. For some, that sensation of peace arrives in as little as 10 seconds, because that's how fast this nutrient can reach brain tissue and restore the balance that had been missing for years. But there's another layer to this mechanism: cortisol control. Cortisol, the stress hormone, is the great enemy of sleep. Normally, it peaks in the morning and fades by night. However, chronic stress, caffeine, and certain medications can keep cortisol levels elevated deep into the evening. This vitamin interacts with enzymes in the adrenal glands that modulate cortisol's production. When the vitamin level is sufficient, cortisol drops naturally at night, paving the way for melatonin and GABA to dominate. When it's deficient, cortisol remains high, keeping your mind alert and your body restless. What this means is that insomnia is often not a mystery disease, but a biochemical imbalance that can be identified, measured, and corrected. Once the right nutrient balance is restored, the brain doesn't need to be forced into sleep. It remembers how to do it naturally. Now let's look at what happens in the body after this restoration begins. Over the following nights, most people notice subtle but profound changes. They fall asleep faster, their sleep feels deeper, and they wake up with a calm, grounded energy that had been missing for years. It's not magic, it's homeostasis, the body returning to its normal rhythm. To make this real, let me tell you a story. Her name is Margaret, she's 63, and for nearly 9 years, she had not known what it felt like to sleep through the night. A retired teacher, she had tried every remedy she could find: herbal teas, white noise machines, yoga, and eventually prescription sleep aids. The pills worked for a few weeks, then failed. When she stopped them, her insomnia came back worse than before. Each night she went to bed fearing the clock, counting the hours until dawn. When she first came to her doctor, she looked defeated. Her eyes were tired. Her voice carried that flat tone of someone who has run out of hope. Blood tests showed her thyroid was normal, her iron levels were fine, and her melatonin supplements had no lasting effect. But her physician, one who had followed recent neurological studies, decided to check something rarely tested: her levels of this specific vitamin. The results were strikingly low. She began a simple supplementation plan under supervision. 1 daily dose taken after dinner, combined with small dietary changes. On the 3rd night, something happened. She described it later like this: I felt a wave move through me, like my body was finally exhaling. She didn't fall asleep instantly, but for the first time in years, she felt her mind quiet. By the 5th night, she was sleeping 5 hours straight. By the 10th, she was waking up rested. Her story isn't unique. In clinical practice, I've seen men and women in their 50s, 60s, and 70s experience the same transformation. The key wasn't a stronger pill or a heavier sedative. It was giving the brain the missing ingredient it needed to function properly. Once the body had the right fuel, it corrected itself. And that is the essence of this discovery. Sleep is not something you force. It's something you allow. The body knows how to sleep. It's encoded in our biology. But modern life, stress, and nutrient depletion have muted that natural wisdom. Restoring this vitamin is like handing the body back the instruction manual it lost along the way. Now, if you're listening to this and thinking, that sounds too simple to be true, I understand the skepticism. Science often hides in simplicity. The most elegant solutions tend to be the ones nature designed from the beginning. This isn't about chasing fads or miracle cures. It's about returning to the fundamentals of how your nervous system was meant to operate. What many people overlook is that insomnia is rarely just a problem of the night. It begins long before your head touches the pillow. Throughout the day, your body and brain are under constant stress. Traffic, deadlines, worries about family, finances, or health. All these small pressures accumulate in your nervous system. And when night falls, the body is still in fight or flight mode, unable to make the shift into rest and repair. The body runs on chemistry. When you are stressed, your adrenal glands release cortisol and adrenaline, the same hormones that once helped our ancestors escape danger. These hormones increase your heart rate, raise your blood sugar, and sharpen your senses. Useful in the short term, but disastrous when constant. Because when cortisol stays high for too long, it suppresses the production of melatonin, the hormone responsible for helping you fall asleep. Now imagine this cycle repeating every day. You wake up tired, go through your day exhausted, and by the time night comes, you feel physically worn but mentally wired. That's the paradox of modern insomnia. Your body begs for rest, but your nervous system refuses to let go. Here is where the story of one single vitamin becomes fascinating. Certain nutrients can act almost like brakes for an overactive nervous system, allowing your body to transition naturally into a state of calm. Scientists now know that one particular vitamin, which we'll explore soon, plays a vital role in calming neural activity, balancing cortisol, and promoting deep, restorative sleep. It works not by sedating you like a pill would, but by helping your body remember how to relax on its own. And this is precisely the reason why so many people who rely on sleeping pills never truly recover their natural sleep. Pills silence the symptoms, but they never teach the brain to rest again. In contrast, the right nutrients can rebuild that connection between the mind that seeks peace and the body that craves rest. This is not magic. It's biochemistry. And it's something that any adult, especially between 35 and 70, can benefit from understanding. Because as we age, our bodies lose the ability to synthesize and absorb many of these key nutrients, leaving us more vulnerable to sleep disturbances. What once was a quiet night becomes a restless battle against the ticking clock. But what if there was a simple way to correct that imbalance? What if the key was not another prescription, but restoring what your body naturally needs to regulate your sleep cycle? We are getting closer to that answer, and it begins with understanding how your brain communicates with your body through one of its most delicate networks, the vagus nerve. Deep inside your body runs a powerful electrical highway called the vagus nerve. It connects your brain to almost every major organ, your heart, lungs, stomach, and intestines. Think of it as your internal peace cable. When the vagus nerve is calm, your heart slows, your breathing deepens, your digestion improves, and your mind relaxes. But when this nerve is overstimulated by chronic stress, the opposite happens. Your heart races, your muscles tighten, and your sleep becomes fragmented or disappears entirely. Researchers have discovered that the vagus nerve acts as the main switch between wakefulness and deep rest. When activated properly, it tells the brain, it's safe to sleep. And here's the remarkable part. This activation can be supported by a specific nutrient that serves as the raw material for the neurotransmitters responsible for relaxation and tranquility. This nutrient helps your brain produce GABA, the natural chemical that quiets neural activity and prepares your body for deep sleep. Without enough of it, your brain stays stuck in high alert, generating the same kind of overthinking and worry that keeps you awake at 2 a.m. Doctors used to think this calming messenger could only be balanced through medication. But now, studies show that a simple vitamin, one that most people overlook, can enhance GABA production naturally. It doesn't force your brain to sleep. It helps your brain want to sleep. This nutrient, often depleted by age, stress, caffeine, and even certain medications, works like a bridge between your nervous system and your sleep cycle. It restores communication where it has been lost. And when that communication returns, your body begins to relax on its own again. It's not about forcing rest, it's about remembering rest. And before I tell you exactly which vitamin it is and how it works in your body, I want to remind you of something. If you're finding value in this video, if you're learning how your body and mind are connected, please take a moment to subscribe to this channel. Here, we explore evidence-based health insights designed for people like you, who want to understand, not just medicate. Your support helps bring more life-changing information to others who need it most. Now, with that said, let's uncover the truth about this vitamin, the one that can begin to eliminate insomnia in as little as 10 seconds by activating your body's own natural calming mechanism. Here is the moment many have been waiting for, the vitamin that can begin to eliminate insomnia in just 10 seconds. It's not a synthetic pill or an artificial sedative. It's something your body already knows, something it has depended on since the day you were born. Its name is magnesium, often referred to by sleep experts as the natural tranquilizer. Magnesium is one of the most essential minerals for human health, yet almost 70% of adults over 40 are deficient in it. Why? Because stress, processed foods, caffeine, alcohol, and even certain medications silently drain magnesium from your body every single day. And when magnesium levels fall, your nervous system becomes unstable, your muscles tighten, your heart rate accelerates, and your brain refuses to switch off. Magnesium's magic lies in how it interacts with your brain's chemistry. It acts as a gatekeeper for something called NMDA receptors, the tiny communication channels that control how neurons fire. When there's enough magnesium, these receptors stay calm and controlled, allowing your brain to rest. But when magnesium is depleted, the channels stay open, flooding your mind with excessive signals, racing thoughts, anxiety, restlessness. You're trapped in wakefulness, even when you're exhausted. But here's the extraordinary part. When you take a bioavailable form of magnesium, especially one that crosses the blood-brain barrier, like magnesium L-threonate or magnesium glycinate, your brain begins to absorb it within minutes. Studies show that the calming effect can begin in as little as 10 seconds as the nervous system receives the signal it has been waiting for. You are safe. You can rest now. It's not an exaggeration. Many people report feeling a wave of relaxation, a lightness in their chest, or a deep sigh as their muscles and mind begin to release the tension held for years. This is magnesium doing its job, not sedating your brain, but resetting it. Now combine this effect with proper breathing, gentle movement, and the avoidance of blue light before bed, and you have one of the most powerful natural methods to restore deep, restorative sleep, without dependency, without side effects, and without losing your body's natural rhythm. But let's go deeper, because magnesium doesn't just calm your nerves, it regulates over 300 biochemical reactions in your body, many of which are directly related to sleep. It helps your body produce melatonin, balances cortisol levels, and even assists your muscles and heart in synchronizing with your circadian rhythm. This is why, for so many adults between 35 and 70, magnesium deficiency is not just a sleep issue, it's a whole body imbalance. Fatigue, irritability, anxiety, and insomnia are all signals that your cells are craving more of this mineral. It's your body's way of whispering, "Please, give me what I've lost." Now that you know the science, let's talk about application. Because knowing what helps is one thing, but understanding how to use it safely and effectively is another. For those struggling with chronic insomnia, magnesium can be taken through food sources like spinach, pumpkin seeds, almonds, avocado, and dark chocolate. Yes, real dark chocolate. But for many adults, especially after age 50, the digestive system becomes less efficient at absorbing nutrients from food alone. That's where supplementation plays a critical role. Experts recommend forms such as magnesium glycinate for calming the nervous system, magnesium citrate for better absorption, or magnesium L-threonate for crossing into the brain tissue itself. Each has unique benefits, but all share one purpose: to bring your body back into its natural balance. And remember, magnesium works synergistically with vitamin B6, which helps transport it into the cells, and with taurine, another amino acid that supports GABA production. Together, they create what scientists call neurochemical harmony, a state where the brain and body are finally aligned, allowing deep, uninterrupted rest. If you've been battling insomnia for years, this isn't about finding another quick fix. It's about repairing the bridge between your mind and your body. Because sleep is not just a biological process, it's the body's language for peace, healing, and renewal. When you provide your body with the right tools, like magnesium. You're not forcing sleep. You're reminding your body how to do what it was designed to do. You're giving it permission to rest again. Think of sleep not as a luxury, but as a vital organ. It cleanses your brain, balances your emotions, regenerates your cells, and even protects you from chronic diseases like hypertension, diabetes, and Alzheimer's. Every hour of deep sleep is like a doctor's visit your body gives itself for free. And when you restore that natural rhythm, when your nights become quiet again, everything else begins to heal. Your mind sharpens, your heart slows, your mood lifts. You begin to live in tune again with your own biology. This is the message that modern medicine is slowly rediscovering. Your body doesn't want more pills. It wants balance. It wants nourishment. It wants what it once had, the minerals, the calm, and the safety that come from living in rhythm with nature. So tonight, before you reach for a sleeping pill, remember what you've learned here. Remember that your body holds ancient wisdom. It knows how to rest. It knows how to heal. All it needs is the right support. And if this message resonated with you, I invite you once more, subscribe to this channel. Every week, we bring forward medical insights, practical advice, and scientific discoveries that empower you to take control of your own health, naturally and intelligently. Because good health isn't about luck, it's about understanding. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, give your body what it truly needs, and let sleep find you again.